Welcome to the show, Jon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, this wouldn't be business with beers if I didn't ask you. We could be at a bar having a cold one. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking water because I got two little kids at home, and I'm going sober for the next foreseeable future for sure.
That's a great choice. So cool. So if you could share your story, who you are, what you do, and where you live, go from there.
Yeah. My name's Jon Brooks. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm a real estate agent who turned real estate coach, who turned into doing mortgages and running a brokerage for a bunch of salespeople that, do a lot of production. And so now I coach and train salespeople for my wife's company.
Okay. All right. So how did you get into real estate? Talk about your story of journey, maybe after college or school, and Go from there.
Yeah, went to college at Virginia Tech, was a finance major, loved it, wanted to go to the Wall Street route, went the Wall Street route, sucked at it. It's a lot of politics and being able to climb the ladder, but I learned how to work hard, which was super important. And then I relocated to Jacksonville, Florida, because I was living in Washington, D.C. in my mom's basement. And after a whole year of work at a corporate accounting firm, I couldn't take it anymore with the weather, and my bank account showed like $1,000. So I had to move. So I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, got an investment banking job that was incredible. But again, I still didn't have control of my income. So I was going through buying my first home, and the experience wasn't very good on either the buying side or on the selling side, the listing agent or the buyer agent. And I saw how much money they made. And I was like, holy cow, that's it. So, I had about $80,000 in debt and maybe 2 to 3 months savings. And this was in 2015, the end of 2015. I said, I'm just going to go for it. And I pulled the plug. My now wife, Brittany, she was my girlfriend at the time, said, just, I'll support you for 6 months. You got 6 months to make money, make it happen. And in the first year, I ended up selling 66 homes for $12 million in sales, which was like a local record. And it just exploded. I tripled my income. The second year, I sold 74 families homes for 20 million. I started focusing more on more price point and getting specific. And then I convinced my wife to come in the business in 2018. And she came in, and we sold 36 million, tried to build a team, tore the team down, had a lot of failures on hiring, how to hire, and then became a coach, became a speaker at Keller for their mega camp conferences, and was the poster child for profitability and review-based businesses, service-based businesses versus more agents that are transactional and just want to get the next buck. We really care about the people that we work with and want to provide a great experience. Mm-hmm. When we had our first kid, everything broke down because we didn't leverage correctly. And then we ran into, we could either run away to get closer to family, or we could, find another way to be in real estate because we love real estate. So instead of burning the whole system down, we basically decided to give away everything that we learned to agents in our community so they could benefit from all the knowledge that we gained. And that became Momentum Realty. When we opened that in January of last year, it exploded. We now have 113 agents on track for $500 million in sales, which is mind-boggling for the time period that we've been open. And then I opened a mortgage company, and then we're looking to do a JV partnership to create a bundle experience for the consumer that'll make it cheaper and more convenient for them. And that's where we're at. So we've got a lot. Ton to unpack here. So a few questions. I'm gonna back up a little bit. When you first started that first year, were you part of another agency, or did you what was your first who you were represented by? Was it your own, or were you part of another team? Yeah, so I joined a small boutique company that was actually a big box, but it was small for our area. And that was a mistake. There weren't a lot of people who were valid that could train or coach me, and they had super high splits. So I went into that company and, sold without any support. And then I got to the point where I needed to leverage. And that's when I switched over to Keller because they know how to build teams. And so I made that jump there, and they taught me how to coach and train. It cost me an arm and a leg to get the coaching to learn how to do that, but it was still worth the jump.
Okay. Yeah. So you get your feet wet with kind of whoever you could get a job with and hang your kind of banner there. Right. And then you self-taught, it sounded like a lot, because they didn't provide you training. And then eventually you got on Keller part of it.
Yes.
Now, is Momentum agency, is that part of Keller Williams? Is that your own independent
It's a
brokerage?
different company. Yeah,
Okay.
It's completely, we're an indie brokerage, just right.
All right. And what makes you unique? Yeah, I think you touched on it, but if you could summarize it again.
Sure. So for most big boxes, we're about 50 to 60% less expensive from a split perspective. So we can care about the team members that to help them make money. So for example, if you're at a big box brokerage and you're building a team, the splits with the broker are usually around 30 to 36%, and you have monthly fees on top of that. Then you have to split another 50% with your team leader. And now there's commission compression. So instead of a 3% commission, you could be getting a 2.5% commission. So if they're basically, there's too many hands in the pie, and the person doing the work doesn't get enough of it. So we were trying to build a platform where the person who actually does the work gets the bulk of the pay.
So let's, for example, say someone's with you guys and someone's with a big box, and there's a $10,000 kind of gross commission to your side. How much are they going to get on the big box, and then how much are they going to get with you guys?
Yeah. So with the big box, they're going to pay $3,600.
Yep. Okay. That's the 36% split.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then with us, it's going to be maybe 1,000, maybe 800 around there. So, it adds up when you're doing volume.
Okay. So they're going to get another $2,000 or so
per deal
with you guys. And
yep.
In terms of like other support, obviously this big box provide, or at least it's supposed to provide good training and support and lead gen and all this stuff. What about you guys? How do you compete with that?
Yeah, we give it away for free. But we're very selective on who we bring into the organization. We only accept around 45% of agents that attempt to join us, and they don't have a good culture fit. They're not positive. They don't care about the customer experience. Like we've had $8, $9, $10 million producers try to join, but they don't care about the customer at all. And they think they know everything. They're not willing to be a team player. They're not going to contribute anything to the organization or the other colleagues in the space, and they're not going to represent the brand well. So we just choose to pass on those people who are trying to join us, and that's the way it's been. And it's been working really well that way. So basically, they get all that stuff at the big box for free. While at the big box, they still have to pay for it on top of those 36%.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. So there's additional fees beyond that 36,000 split.
Yeah. So if you want a coach there at a big box, it's going to cost $1,000 a month, at least maybe $1,500. Sometimes it goes all the way up to $2,500 a month. They have monthly fees, $200, $300 a month. Basically you get the value of a top performing big box team, but for 1/3 of the cost. That's generally what we see come across. And that's why it's growing so fast, is because people are like, I can't believe it's this cheap for what we're getting. Okay.
And you guys only in Jacksonville, or how far is your spread?
We did not plan to not just be, we planned in like 5 years to like go throughout Florida, but people wanted to join us from other areas. And so now we have 6 other locations in Florida.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. And then why did you decide to start the mortgage company? Is it kind of that consistent experience for the customer? Was that the primary reason?
It's part of it. And
profitability of it?
Some of it has to do with profitability, but like what agents don't realize is they give away more profits in their referrals than they make themselves. And so what we're looking to do is find a way to build that bundle package, just like Zillow or Realtor.com is. They're now doing home loans. They're now doing title services. They're building fully vertically integrated business models. That's going to take away from the marketplace. So if we don't continue to build a bundle of services, then we're not going to be competitive in 3 to 5 years, honestly. Because Zillow could say, hey, or whatever lead aggregator could say, hey, work with me and I'll give you $3,000, $4,000 back on the transaction. And no matter how much your customer loves you, if it's more convenient and cheaper, they're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, and especially on the HUD, if it's a credit and it's less money out of pocket to their 10 or 20% down or whatever it is, that would definitely be appealing. So
we can build that bundle on a local basis that has more talented individuals so that keep the agent relevant and in front.
Awesome. Hey, earlier you mentioned you'd faced a lot of challenges or kind of failures in your path here to where you are now. Could you speak to maybe one that was maybe your biggest failure or that became then a learning experience, and how what you learned from it?
Yeah. The biggest failure that we've had is in the firing and leveraging phase, like hiring, firing, and leverage phase. So we've gone through a bunch of people. It comes down to the interview. Like, you hire the right person before they walk through the door. You're not going to change them once they get into the door. So you got to do a ton of diligence on that individual, check their track record, track what motivates them. All of those little things, make sure that they have references to make sure that when they come in your door, they're going to operate the same way that you're observing. Because a lot of things don't match up if you really look deep enough, and you just don't want to have to pay for that headache and the headache of offboarding somebody as well. So we must have gone through 15 to 16 different agents within 1 year looking to find the right one. And right now, I think we have about 3 people that we work really, really well with that help us run our organizations because of the skills that we learned the hard way.
So what do you do now to have a better interview process to know who they truly are and not just a face that they're putting on? Because that's a challenge every business owner faces.
Yeah. So like most brokerages, they'll just let people join. Like if you have a license and pulse, like, hey, welcome, whatever, because they can make money off of you. We make them jump through hoops. Like they have to be interested in personal development. We make them do a strength finders test. They have to pay for it. We watch how long they take to send it into us.
What is it? Strength finders? So I don't know what that is. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah. Strength finders is using your independent wiring and figuring out who you are as an individual. It's really good. It's from Gallup. And when you're operating from your strengths, you're operating from your 3 E's: ease, excellence, and enjoyment. And so we're basically trying to figure out, how is this person's behavior currently, and how's that going to show up in my business? So we can get a good clue and see whether or not they're going to have massive success in real estate based on their personality assessments that they're taking. Are
there 3 specific ones you kind of look for? Is there a red flag? If they don't have this, you're like, this guy's no good. What are you looking at?
Yeah. So there's 3 that I think that I've observed, not only in my own, but like talking with other mega producers around the country. It's achiever, learner, and relator. In your top 10, usually that's a great bet. They're people who just feel a natural, they have to wake up in the morning and achieve something. A learner is like, I always just want to keep getting to the next level. I enjoy the process of learning. And then relator is what you need for the real estate agent side, because we're in services, which is they relate to everybody. And they understand, they don't necessarily have empathy, but they understand it. So if you have those 3 in your top 10, usually it makes for a powerhouse agent. Not saying that that's the only case. I have a lot of people that do not fit that model that are top producers, but they use systems and models to offset it, or they have another person who is that person for the organization.
Okay. So that's for a sales role. What if you want to hire an admin person? Are there 3 different ones you're kind of looking at there?
Yeah. If I'm hiring an admin, they need to be very similar to my personality type and my way of operating. The highest thing is they need to be extremely responsive. In the sales industry. They have to be able to understand that this is a speed to lead game. This is a speed to information game, and that the customer is demanding more convenience now than ever. They want it at their fingertips, and they don't want it from an AI chatbot. They want it from a human being. So you need to figure out how that's not you so you can actually leverage out of it and live a life. So yeah, there are certain personality types that we look for each individual role. Like there's even a different one for a buyer agent versus a listing agent. There's a different one for, marketing position versus an admin position. And so we have all those kind of profiles there. And again, it's more art than science. So it's not going to be perfect 100% of the time.
What does it cost the person to take the assessment?
It's like $50.
Okay. So it could be pretty committed to like do this, right? Is this towards the end of the process that you give them this, or upfront?
No, we won't even talk to them until they so like say if you're a new agent trying to join Momentum and you have no track record, you're going to have to jump through like 3 or 4 hoops and interview with 3 or 4 different people at our company before you can even sign up. And then even when you do sign up, you have to be underneath a mentor who's going to mentor you to success. And they're going to be the one answering the questions, not me.
Yep. Okay.
We don't want to deal with the agents that need the basics. We deal with the agents that want to talk business strategy and long-term wealth building.
Okay. Awesome. You have a newsletter called Think Big, Question Everything, and Build Wealth on Substack. If you could, what is that about? Talk to me about kind of your theory of why you have it there and what's the overall theme of it.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed writing my whole life. So it's basically just an outlet for me to share my thoughts on business in general and the lessons that I've been learning. kind of like the same thing with Momentum. What we learned, we want to be able to give back to the community that helps us get where we are. And so Substack is just something I created. I put a bunch of emails in there, and it's crazy. We're getting like 15,000 people read the articles every single week, and more people are signing up on the day. And I actually got the idea from Cody Sanchez, who's a speaker at GoBundance, and modeled mine off of hers. And so far, it's been creating a lot of really cool conversations. It's good for personal branding. It's good to connect with other agents. It's good to have a place where you can send people to say like, hey, here's my mindset. Here's how I think, for other people that we want to do business ventures with.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just started one too. Same thing. Cody's inspired me. So that's awesome. Talk to me about then the subject of thinking big. How does someone go to think big? How do they change their mindset? How does somebody do that?
I love that question, by the way. That's a fabulous question. You have to get around people who do big stuff. So you don't even know what thinking big is until you expose yourself to people who are actually doing the stuff that's really big. So I didn't even know I wanted to do a lot of these things I wanted to do until I got into the GoBundance group, and I heard somebody else be like, I'm doing 1, 2, 3. I'm like, why aren't I doing that? Right? It's like there's a sense of competitiveness in it, but there's also, I didn't know that people could do that. Like it wasn't something that I had immediately observed in my life or around. So the first thing you can do to think big is get around other people who think big and do things in a really big way. And that's like getting involved with GoBundance. If you're not eligible to be GoBundance, get into Emerge or Ascend, which are the feeder programs for GoBundance. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard the phrase David Osborne has shared. This is like, why not me? Right? These people are doing these amazing things, and like, why can't I do that? There's no reason I can't, right? And then to model, what you want to do off somebody else. I think that's kind of what you're saying is you look at their life and kind of their steps and use that as a blueprint, or at least a starting point to do it.
Yeah. So. And to kind of add to that, I agree with that. Right. You're modeling yourself off of somebody who has had a business success. So you really want to check the validity of that person who's giving you that information, because if they have a ton of business success and they have no family success or no relationship success then they have an unbalanced life. And I don't unless you're okay with having that, if you copy that model exactly, you're not going to have those other things. So you have to be I would take advice from this person on business. If somebody's a really good dad, because I want to be a good dad, I'm going to go to somebody that I know is a really good dad. And, I know they have great kids. I've met their kids and be like, hey, what did you do to do right? And then start modeling each one. But, I wouldn't take general advice from everybody. Like I would, before I accept their advice, I'd probably check their track record, because there's a big difference between like hearing it or saying it and like actually knowing from experience.
Yeah. They're just like an Instagram star and they've got all these pictures, but then they don't actually do anything, right? Cody talks about that all the time. It's all smoke and mirrors and ego and this and that, versus like, let's get with the people who are actually doing things and not just talking about doing things. Yep. So speaking of thinking big, talk to me about kind of goal setting, your philosophy around it. Do you set these big goals? Do you set incremental goals? How do you do it yourself? And then maybe how do you train your people to talk about their goals?
Yeah. So in our company, I'm the visionary. So basically, and I have two really great integrators that work with me, Brittany and Bruce, that we come up with an idea. Brittany helps edit that vision, and then Bruce and Brittany go out and execute it. So my job is to go out there and come up, what's the next thing that I can provide the customer or my agent to get them to the next level, or get them into action so they can get into the next level to make them more profitable sooner. So what I'm doing is constantly researching, figuring out what's working in the marketplace, what does the consumer want, and then building our business based on what the marketplace is telling us, or figuring out what they want next. What is the world going to look like 5 years from now, and how do we build a business out of that's going to capture a part of that market? We don't need to capture the whole market. We just want our slice of the pie that fits the lifestyle that we want to live and the mission that we want to live.
Okay. And your big vision for Momentum is this all-in-one package solution, right?
With only good agents that are professionals, because the worst thing that can happen is bringing in a bad egg and having it spoil the bunch. I see it happen in all these other companies. The major problem with brokerages is their retention is horrible. I mean, there's literally 30 to 40% of agents that rotate out of brokerages. So they have to keep hiring, keep firing. We have like a 98% retention rate. So that tells me that we're doing something right, and we need to dive more into what we're currently doing versus copy the competitors that have a terrible retention rate. But they have some things that I want to add, right? So you just have to be really careful what lever you push and pull on, because you don't want to take away what's actually working for you right now.
Yep. So what have you found as a way to retain people? Anything you've implemented that you say this really works?
Yeah. So we, again, like having a standard for the agents coming in makes it feel very exclusive, and it is exclusive. Yep. Like it's hard to get in now. Like it's,
yep.
I mean, it's
so you've got this culture where, everyone has the same core beliefs and values and work ethics and mindset. Right. So you've got that. And then what about the day to day? Is there anything that you do that you say this, like to show people appreciation or to educate them? You said about being a coach. Is it one-on-one?
Yeah, we do one-on-one business planning through Zoom or in person. We connect with our people. We make sure that they have all the resources that they need. We have a strong feedback loop. We're constantly asking like, hey, what can we add to the try? Most people are like, it's so great. Like, I'm surprised you guys aren't charging more for it. That's typically the feedback that we get. And then we get usually some feedback that's, hey, I would tweak this or I tweak that. And we take it very seriously. And then it's literally implemented the next day. And it's more of a collaborative approach to running the brokerage, so they feel like shareholders, or it's like, what do you guys want us to build for you? What's going to make the needle move for you and your business? But a lot of it comes down to coaching, training, and resources that they just haven't implemented yet, or they haven't been exposed to yet. And it's their first time hearing it, and they take it and run with it. And so we try to, like, every quarter we have a different focus on what they need to implement in their business to get it automated, because the hardest thing for an agent is going out there and creating the next deal. We can show you how to do it because we're doing it right now, and we can't even turn it off. I mean, my wife is going to be the number one agent in the company again, and she can't turn the off button on. So now we have to start referring it out.
Yep. You said she just had a baby 5 months ago too. So
yeah, she didn't get any.
She's Wonder Woman there.
Yeah, she really is, man. It's unbelievable.
So you have a bottom-up approach, you would say. So you're collecting all this feedback from all the agents that are in the field every single day, using their feedback then to fine-tune, improve, change, delete processes, and then make them feel valued because they're part of the team, right?
And they're saving money. So it makes it really easy when you're like, by the way, I provide more than the big box and we're 1/3 of the cost. It just makes it super easy. And by the way, everybody here is good and thinks abundantly. They really adopt a lot of the mentalities of Go Abundance, Emerge, and Ascend, honestly, because those books are foundational to the approach that we have with the company.
Great. Hey, I want to talk about your daily habits, right? So successful people have a very good track record of executing good habits kind of on this daily basis. What are some habits that you have that you've contribute to your success that kind of keep you on track, keep you motivated, focused?
I think it's evolved over time. So when I was in sales production, there were like one or two things that I could do to move the needle, right? I could hop on the phones, or I could call people that I already know. So go create external business, or go create internal business. And I could do those for 8 hours a day, and I did. I would hit the phones for like 6 hours a day, and I never had to figure out where my next piece of business was coming from. I was making it happen. Now my role has evolved, and it's more reading books, becoming more educated, connecting with more big thinkers to bring ideas back to my organization. So the week ahead, I plan my whole week ahead. Sometimes I try to plan my whole year ahead if I can, honestly. Vacation time, figure out who I need to connect with to be able to accomplish the goal. So I have a lot of who's. So in my calendar, I maybe have preset 10 meetings this week that I set up on Saturday and Sunday, and I plan the whole week ahead and make sure that everybody keeps the commitments who set the meeting with me. Yep.
So being more intentional with your time and make sure everything you're doing is aligning to this bigger picture. I think a lot of people have the habit of the day just kind of takes over them, and whatever email comes in, whatever phone or text, like that's the direction they go in, and they become this problem solver all day long, putting out fires, but then they're never able to kind of move their big projects along. So having goals, right? Number one, and then being intentional about your time, I think are two extremely important habits that people need to have, right?
Yeah. People underestimate the cost of switch cost.
What's that? Switch cost?
Yeah, switch costs, from especially when you're a real estate agent, you could be doing one thing and then you could get like 5 phone calls for things that are totally unrelated. And if you could spend the whole next 2 hours doing those things, some of those things you don't even need to do. Some people are not important to get back to right now. Some people are important to get back to, right? Like, so you need to be able to determine what's the information flow. Like, is it immediate? Is it not immediate? How am I going to prepare? Is it things that I need to do, or is it things where I can outsource it to other people and have a strategy and plan for that? Otherwise, it could eat up your whole day and you could accomplish nothing except servicing. Like, you need to have a process for lead collection and like identifying who's motivated and who's not. And then, after they're under contract, figure out how to do the contract to close process. It's all processes and systems. Mm-hmm. And if you're not running it like very disciplined, process and system oriented, you could be doing a lot of work and getting very little pay. And there's a good saying that says, don't mistake movement for achievement. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of agents out there that are doing a ton of movement with very little achievement. Yet you see on Facebook and social media, the ego posts about it's like, what are you actually accomplishing here? If your bank account's not going up and your people aren't singing your praises, you're not really accomplishing much.
Yep. Do you have any best practices around kind of blocking off time where you don't check email or you don't take calls? Do you have any rituals around that?
Yeah, we have whole schedules. Like when you come into our organization, you get access to all this stuff of being like, here's the ideal top producing agent schedule. Like, here's what it looks like. Here's how business comes in. We have all these different models that we teach to. And there's actually this huge, we use Cody Sanchez again, Thinkific. I'm not sure if you've seen that website, but for like a video directory of like, hey, start here. And then here's what you do. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
What's it called?
Thinkific. It's just a website that hosts videos. It's really great. And I can track to see who's going through it. And guess what? The agents who are having the most success are the ones that are watching the videos multiple times and then go actually making micro tweaks in their business. And it's not, we tell the agents who come in, it's like, you don't have to do everything at once, right? Like, it's not, you just be aware of it, prioritize the ones in your business that are going to move the needle, and then make like one micro tweak per month or per week. And by the end of the year, your business is going to look different. You're going to have more money, you're going to have a better lifestyle, and you're probably going to have a better understanding of financials and wealth building than you ever had before. Because my wife and I became net worth millionaires in 3.5 years, working from negative 80,000. And we want our agents to be able to get there in 5 years using the same exact systems and models. They want to do it sooner, they can. And now they have a resource that's done it in their local community that can make that happen.
Okay, great. You mentioned on your website you're a real estate investor. Is that true?
It is true. I don't enjoy it. So
okay.
I don't like being a property manager, but yeah, we bought a bunch of rentals and they've done very, very well for us.
Single family, multifamily?
Single family rentals, buying at foreclosure auction or buying from a wholesaler or, doing the, buy one house and then move 6 months later into a new one and get the low down payment, low interest rate thing. Yep.
Is that part of your vision at all, or are those kind of going to be sold off and moved to something else?
We're just keeping them. So we believe in foundations. So like, that's our foundation that will really never be taken away from us, the way that, we have a low LTV and everything like that. So then we can afford to take bigger risks in the business. Okay.
That's great. How many do you have?
We have 8.
Okay.
And we just sold one to our parents who are relocating here to help with the kids.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, real estate's great wealth building, right? You get the cash flow, you get debt pay down, you get appreciation, you get all that. So like you said, once you have no debt on it, then it becomes more of a safety net. So
yep. We just never want to have to go backwards, and we want to depreciate it and then, pass it on to our kids, blah, 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 kind of some of the tax strategies there. Okay. But I don't enjoy, honestly, I don't think it's a good use of time. Personally, for me, like, that's not what I want my specialty to be as a real estate investor. Rather just continue to work in businesses, because that's where you can build real cash flow. And then the cash flow I do bring in, put into a stock market or some sort of, other different project like syndications, where I don't have to actively do work, because that's not what I want my niche to be.
Yep. Just like your strength finder, your strength is kind of this building this business, generating this cash flow. It's not going to be managing rental properties. So then you find someone who is good at that, and then you can put your money with them and they can help, build it for you.
Yeah. I think like a lot of people, they try to do everything themselves and they try to be like an expert, like just pick one thing and then outsource all the rest. You just have to buy a good deal to pay for that talent to manage it for you.
Yep. So speaking of outsourcing, do you use any virtual assistants, or is it all local? Speak to that.
We don't hire employees, we hire independent contractors. So my wife is actually the only employee, and then she basically has a bunch of independent contractors that do individual tasks that are paid for performance.
Okay.
So that way you don't have a large overhead. A lot of these offices, they have a big office, they have like 5 or 6 staff that have to go there daily. They all have to have, this and that. We don't have any headaches. We're a virtual company. And then everything that needs to get done is an independent contractor, and people love the setup because everything gets done quickly.
Okay. Are any of them overseas?
Not yet, but we are looking into that. We've had them in it before. Over the season, they've done very well for us, and we're looking to add. We don't need it until now because our company has basically just doubled within 1 year. And now we're getting to the point where, okay, it would make sense to have somebody manage an email inbox or do these little tasks for us because there's enough of it where it starts.
To have a full-time work for it.
Yep.
Great. Any books that you're reading now that you would recommend to readers?
I've been going through Robert Kiyosaki's stuff. At first I thought he was just like a conspiracy theory guy. And then I started like researching more, and a lot of what he had to say made sense. I read The Grunch of Giants and how the money supply works and how the taxation system works. And I like his view. I don't agree with everything, but I've been reading everything Robert Kiyosaki. I've also been reading Naval Ravikant, who's more of like a philosophical Silicon Valley type of guy. And his books have been very helpful for me as well.
Awesome. Where can listeners connect and learn more about you and your company?
You can find me on Substack. It's Jon Brooks. The name of the company is Momentum Realty, and you can go to momentumjax.com, or, just drop me a note on Facebook or Instagram. It's very easy to find me, and I can share that information with Brian as well.
Yep. Yeah, we'll put it all in the show notes. So, hey, I appreciate you coming on and chatting and sharing your story. You got a lot of awesome stuff going on, and wishing you the best of luck.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Brian.
All right. Thanks, Jon.